This is a 3x3 box, and today I'm going to be showing you 64 mini build hacks which you can fit inside of it. Starting with some things you can put in your house. This is a TV that sort of looks like plankton for some reason, and to build this, you need to place an item frame with a glass pane over a stone block, and then you have to throw 2 tridents at the top like this. You can also build a laptop using a similar setup, except using a pressure plate and trapdoor instead. Another household item you can build with a pressure plate and trapdoor is a chair, which is basically just a laptop on top of scaffolding. There's also another chair which you can build using any type of wood, but it's a little big. And there's this chair you can make as well, which actually looks pretty cool. Just make sure you don't fall through the cushion while you're sitting on it. Something that is in almost everyone's house is a chandelier. What? You don't have one? Okay, maybe it's not this fancy, but I'm sure everyone has a small chandelier that can be built like this with signs all around the outside of it. It's more like a lamp, I'm pretty sure, but calling it a chandelier makes it seem fancy. If you want to build a kitchen, you'll probably need a fridge, and luckily you can build one using quartz, some item frames with this slab in it, and some banners. And if you even want to take this a step further, you can place a dispenser behind the banner and then put some food in it so it's more realistic. Speaking of food, you can use a waterlogged slab to make pasta like this. And you can also use a dispenser to place some armor stands inside of a slab and make a tiny grill cooking meat like this. If you eat too much food, you're gonna want to use the bathroom, and luckily you can make a toilet by placing a diamond helmet as water under a stair like this. And after using the bathroom, you might want to light some scented candles, which you can make really long by placing an end rod underneath. Finally, you can make a garbage bin that actually works by placing a bunch of paintings around a cactus. And if for some reason you want a large clock in your house, you can build one by placing some slabs on the side, a slab and sign like this, a block with an item frame on top, and then a bell in the middle. It's supposed to do that every hour. Now that you've decked out your house with build hacks, it's time to move on to some random builds. Starting with this very large trophy that definitely wouldn't fit on a shelf, and a super large rifle that is made out of wood, which really has me questioning if it would work. You can also make a witch pot, which is just a respawn anchor with trapdoors around it, and you can make a dragon head that looks like it has a sword going through it, and you can even add ketchup. That's definitely what this is. If those builds weren't random enough, you can make a guy who got locked up using item frames and an armor stand like this, and you can make a Lego brick if you manage to get your hands on some colored heads. If you didn't like the idea of killing the Ender Dragon earlier, you can just make a regular upside down sword like this. And by placing a carpet underneath a block like this, and then putting an armor stand through it, you can create a chessboard by giving it a chain helmet and putting a pressure plate underneath it. Now obviously those build hacks were cool, but it's time to show you some of the coldest build hacks known to man. If you build a cube of ice like this, and then put a Steve armor stand inside of it, you can push some ice on top of him and make a man who is freezing to death. You can also make some cracked ice by placing glow lichen on top of it, and you can build a penguin by using some concrete like this, a beak, and then placing some banners on the front and the sides. You can place a stair in a slab like this, some signs on the side, and a fence gate on the back to make a sled. And if you want to give this sled some power, you can attach a dog to the front of it like this. Come on, hurry up, go faster. If you need more power for your sled, you can put some stairs like this, add a carpet on the back, and then place some fence gates on the side to make a reindeer. Okay, now this thing should be super fast. We got Rudolph pulling it. Reindeers help deliver gifts, so here's a gift made from a kelp block and candles, and here's a happy kid who just got what he wanted for Christmas. I'm not gonna let that happen. I'm a hater. You can make a small tree by placing azalea leaves on top of a dead bush, and you are even able to make that tree dead with some mangrove roots on top instead. You can make another cool plant by placing coral on top of some waterlogged slabs, and if you want to make some bulrushes, you can place some glass panes like this with a brown candle on top. You can also make another type of bulrush like this, as seen in my previous build hack video. Another outdoor build is the swing, which is made by placing some upside down lightning rods like this, and then putting some trapdoors underneath. You can also place 4 trapdoors like this with a waterlogged slab in the middle, and then place an egg and some coral on top to make a nest. You can even put this in a tree to be more realistic, although it looks very unnatural. There are a lot of bugs outside, and you can make one of them by placing a button through an item frame like this. You can also make a water cart, whatever that is, by placing some slabs like this with trapdoors and some fence gates on the side, and then some barrels and a sign on top, and a tripwire as a faucet like this. Another thing with wheels is a wheelbarrow, which is made with these 3 blocks, and you can even fill it up by putting some compost in the middle. Wheelbarrows are usually used for farming, so let's check out some farm builds next. You can place a candle on top of melons and pumpkins to give them a stem, or you can use a sea pickle depending on how big you want it to be. You can also make a pineapple by putting this vine thing on top of a shroom light like this, and if you want to build a cake, you can place a piece of dirt and put some snow on top, and then you can add redstone on the top as a strawberry. This cake probably tastes really bad though, it's made out of dirt. Apparently fish barrels are real, and you can make a salmon barrel with a raw copper block and some trapdoors on the side. Or you can change it out for a raw iron block if you want to make a cod barrel instead. Another type of barrel is a honey barrel, and this time I'm actually not sure what that is. I've never heard of a honey barrel before. If you want to make your dinner table look more realistic, you can place a pressure plate on top of an item frame and place some food in it to look like a plate like this. And you can even add some condiments on the table and place some sea pickles on the side which kind of look like cups. So much detail just for you to eat all the food in 2 seconds. If you have a dog, you can build a small doghouse by placing 5 trapdoors like this with a couple more trapdoors on the top. And you can even place a dog bowl on the side to give him something to drink. Another dog bowl you can do is this design using a decorated pot, and pairing them together looks like both food and drink. If you don't have a dog, you might have a cat, and there's also a cool cat structure you can build. First, place a scaffolding and trapdoors like this, add some fences on the back, and then place a couple carpets on top, and then you have a nice place for your cat to live. You might also have a parrot, in which you can also give a house. Well, sort of. In order to do this build, you have to push a piece of glass over top of the parrot, which is probably seen as animal cruelty. So something you can do that is less cruel is this bird bath, which uses a waterlogged slab and some signs on the side. Or you can place a hanging sign like this as a parrot perch. You are also able to use a bell if you don't think the hanging sign looks good enough. And you can also build a cage, which is slightly less evil, and it's built using fences like this, a slab and a trapdoor on top, and a chain and scaffolding attached underneath. This build also exceeds the build size limit for this video, but I'm just gonna let it slide because it looks pretty cool. The last build in the pets category is this snail, which I'm not really sure if it counts as a pet. Snails are also really slow, so the fact that it doesn't move might actually not matter. Now that we've seen all these different build hacks, it's time for some more random build hacks that have no common theme. Something that for some reason isn't in Minecraft is balloons, but with a colored block, a fence, and a little animal cruelty, it is actually possible to have balloons in Minecraft. Another thing that is also not in Minecraft is hot springs, but that can be changed by placing some trapdoors and some campfires underneath a pool of water. You can also do the same technique by placing campfires under lava to get some smoky lava, and this time you don't even need the trapdoors. I would be careful when swimming in this one though, because it might be a little too hot. If you're tired of how the regular TNT looks, or just scared of building with it in case something like this happens, then you can actually place a barrel like this and put some signs on the side that say TNT to make an old looking block of TNT. You can even highlight the signs in white to make the text stand out and add a candle on top to look like a fuse. If you aren't afraid of using TNT to build, you can also place a bunch of TNT like this and then put some candles on top, and they will kind of look like individual dynamite sticks. You can even light them if you want, but just be careful you don't accidentally misclick. If you do set off the TNT by accident, it might be possible you need to build a grave, and luckily you can do that with 3 podzol blocks like this, an anvil, a skull of your choice, and a couple of flowers, and then you have a tiny gravestone for whoever died as a result of your TNT accident. Another random build hack is this super thin ladder, which is just a ladder placed on trapdoors, and something really cool you can do is place trapdoors alternating like this with ladders on each of them, and you can make a 1-block spaced working ladder. The final build hack is this stair in an item frame, which can be rotated to look like an arrow, and the cool part of this is you can place a sign on the side and then write something for it to point to.